You know, from the moment you wake up to your very last thought at night, you're basically on a stage. At our jobs, with our friends, our online profiles, even in our most private relationships, we're all constantly performing. So, let's dive into why it feels like the show never really stops. So, let me just ask you, straight up, are you a performer? And hey, before you say no, just think about it for a sec. The last time you went on a first date, or interviewed for a job, or even just posted a photo online, every single choice you made was part of a performance, right? Designed for a very specific audience. So in this explainer, we're going to explore this whole idea through 5 different acts. We'll kick things off with the performance of attraction, then we'll look at how we perform through art, what happens when performance gets dangerous, and of course, how we perform our actual identities online. And then we'll turn that question right back to you. Okay, let's begin with maybe the most personal stage there is, seduction. And this isn't just about romance. It's really about that conscious, deliberate performance we put on when we want to captivate an audience of just one person. Well, according to intimacy expert Shan Bodrum, one of the classic archetypes is the siren. This is the ultimate visual performance. It's all about curating your appearance to be so compelling, so artistic, that it just commands attention. You're not just getting dressed. You're creating a character that's designed to make people go, wow, look at them. But of course, a performance isn't only visual. There's also the ideal lover, who's more of a psychological performer. This archetype works by making the other person feel completely seen, valued, and understood. You perform the role of their biggest believer. You reflect their own dreams back at them, and you make them feel like the hero of their own story. Bodrum points to this really fascinating study. A group of women were told they were getting a full makeover, but the cosmeticians didn't actually use any products. But get this, they still reported getting way better reactions from people. So why? It's because they believed they were shiny. It just goes to show you the most captivating performance often starts with the confidence you project from the inside out. Okay, so now let's build on that. Moving from performing for a person to performing through an object. Long before Spotify playlists, there was the mixtape. A carefully, meticulously curated performance of emotion pressed right onto magnetic tape. And this really shows you the key difference. A mixtape wasn't just a list of songs. It was a total labor of love. It meant hours spent recording in real time, agonizing over the track order, all to tell a story. The effort itself was part of the message. It was a tangible performance of your feelings for someone. That kind of high-effort, personal performance is a world away from today's digital creation. I mean, an AI can master a song in seconds. An algorithm can generate a playlist for millions of people instantly. The performance has totally shifted from painstaking curation to effortless, almost impersonal efficiency. But a performance isn't always about connection. What happens when it's designed to challenge an entire system? Well, that's when the performance becomes dangerous, and suddenly the stakes get a whole lot higher. You know, censorship isn't just about someone not liking a song. It's an official act that declares a certain performance of ideas through music to be a threat. It's basically society trying to edit the public script, deciding which stories are allowed on its stage and which ones aren't. And man, this has been going on forever. From the moral panics over Elvis's hips to the Doors getting banned from the Ed Sullivan Show for singing the word higher. Then you had the PMRC hearings labeling heavy metal as satanic, and 2 Live Crew actually being put on trial for obscenity. And it's still happening today, with rap lyrics, a form of artistic performance, being used as evidence against artists in criminal trials. And this is exactly why it's targeted. Music can be one of the most powerful forms of protest. In just these few lines, Gil Scott-Heron powerfully performs the story of racial and economic injustice in America. This isn't just a song, it's a piece of political theater. And for those in power, that kind of performance can be the most threatening of all. So let's bring it to the biggest stage of all, the internet. This is where the lines get completely blurred. We're not just performing an idea or an emotion anymore, we're performing our entire selves, all carefully branded and curated for public consumption. I mean, just look at Hailey Bieber. She was once considered an internet villain, but she pulled off this masterful rebranding. First, she spotted a countertrend, moving away from heavy glam towards that clean girl aesthetic. Then she started seeding her new persona with catchphrases like glazed donut skin. So her product, Rhode Skin, wasn't just a launch, it was the grand finale in a year-long performance of transformation. But this is a real high-wire act. The second the audience feels a performance is no longer genuine, the whole brand can just collapse. Take the influencer Michaela Nogueira. She built her entire brand on being relatable, but after a few scandals, her emotional moments started to feel, well, performed. Her vulnerability was suddenly seen as salesy self-victimization. And just like that, the audience's trust was broken. This pressure to perform isn't just limited to women, not at all. We're now seeing new male archetypes emerge as a form of social performance. The Labubu male, for example, is described as HR-friendly, non-threatening, with a tote bag aesthetic. Some see it as a very calculated response, a performance of what's considered acceptable in a post-Me Too world. Now, contrast that with the decades-long, often unnoticed performance of soul singer Leaf Fields. He wasn't crafting a persona for the moment. He was just living his art. As he said, his flower was blooming the whole time, whether anyone was watching or not. So this brings us right back to the beginning. We've seen it in seduction, in social media, in mixtapes, and in protest songs. Life really is just a series of performances, which of course brings us to the final act, yours. First off, who are you performing for? Is it for a boss, a partner, your followers, or is it for yourself? Because knowing your audience, that defines the entire show. And what are you trying to say with your performance? Are you trying to convey confidence, creativity, rebellion, vulnerability? Every action you take, every choice you make, is another line in your script. And here's the toughest question of all. Is it real? Is there a difference between the character you play and who you truly are? And honestly, in a world that demands constant performance, does that distinction even matter anymore? Because whether we like it or not, the curtain never falls. The lights never go down. The show is always on. The only question left is, what part will you play?